Hello. Good thing you guys suggested that I do stories first rather than YouTube because I'm not ready for that yet. Yeah, still getting used to filming myself. Right, today I'm going to talk to you about the results that came from my FA poll that I conducted the other day. Thank you so much to everybody who viewed and took part in that survey, and thank you so much for your feedback and honesty. It did take a heck of a lot for me to do. I've never done anything like that to do with FA publicly before. So what I'm going to do is show you the results from each question, and I'm going to basically give you my opinion on, my own personal opinion, on each question and why I feel the results came up the way they did. And so I'm going to try this out. Could go wrong, but never mind. So let's get down to it. That's good to see. 72% said yes. I think there always has been a strong community for FAs. When I think about back in 2004, when I was 18, the only forum that I found that was accessible to somebody with my preference was Dimensions forums. And I have certainly come across so many more FA accounts, feeder accounts and FA artist accounts on this platform than on any other platform or forum in the last 16 years. So I do think it's always been strong. I'm wondering if the 28% has come from the idea that people are still in need for more of those standout forums to bring us all together. There's plenty of dating websites, but I think people are still craving that one place where you're more likely to all be together in one place. I think the result of this one depends on what age and generation you're from. Old school FAs will tell you that back in the 80s and 90s, the FA scene was all of a buzz. Because the internet was in its infancy back in the 90s, I think you only had those very few standout forums and the very few standout figureheads at the time, and therefore I think the scene was a lot more tight-knit, and I think people knew each other more personally. And also, remembering back then, you had more of the gentlemen's publications who catered to men who liked big women, for example. Me personally, if I was answering this, I would have answered now. Simply comparing what was accessible to me back in 2004 and those years afterwards, I would say that now there's more presence. Across social media, I've come across many fat activist accounts in support of fat people, which I think is great. In terms of FAs and feeders, apart from, say, there's a YouTube channel called Curvy Shrine, I don't think that there's enough people who are speaking on behalf of FAs and feeders, and I think there probably needs to be. No surprise with this one. We're still being portrayed as weirdo, freaky, sex fiend misfits, and it needs to stop. Fat people exist, fat bodies exist, we like what we like, and that's it. I was hoping and praying for even a slither of 3 to 5% of responders to say no, but 100% said that there is still a stigma attached to being an FA or a feeder. When you think back to the 90s and the early 2000s, like when I came out, the idea of finding fat people attractive was deemed bizarre. And we're 20 odd years later, and with all this talk about body positivity, fat acceptance, and fat liberation, and size inclusivity, and there's still a stigma attached with FAs. You know, why is it okay now for fat bodies to exist, and yet it's not okay to find fat people attractive? It's just very disheartening. I am relieved that this one didn't come out as 100% no. However, it doesn't seem to have changed much in 16 years. FAs and feeders, we feel like we can't be completely open about our preference with friends and family because we're afraid of being judged, or we're afraid that our loved ones will look at us in a different light. I personally never said anything to my family. I find it difficult to be open with family anyway, but that's just me. I was very choosy with which friends I told right at the beginning. They don't always get it, but they are supportive nonetheless. And I just want to finish by saying that if anybody upsets you accidentally or intentionally, whether they're friend or family, it doesn't matter. Call them out on it. You know, don't let them make you feel rubbish. Because we live in the digital age, I naively assumed that the yes would be higher than 28%. But, you know, it is difficult putting yourself online and being as true to your authentic self as much as possible, not just for FAs or feeders, for anybody in general. It really is. I know a lot of people who have secondary accounts where they put themselves under a pseudonym, a fake name, and that enables them to be able to express that side of themselves. Instagram is the only platform that I've found in 16 years that has enabled me to be able to be comfortable with sharing this part of myself. But, you know, a lot of the reason why I started doing this is because of the lockdown, to be honest. I'm not there yet confidence wise, not at all. I would only do it on this. Never Facebook, never Facebook. Virtually 50-50. But then you've got the 46% who say they have been shamed. So it's not a great result, really, is it? I've been shamed through the years. Like, sometimes it's just been downright disrespectful and hurtful. Sorry if this triggers you, but sometimes, a lot of the time actually, it's been colleagues or friends who've made throwaway comments that they thought I would find funny, but actually I haven't. And with all of those times, I've actually called people out and said, look, that's not cool. And they've apologised straight away because they genuinely didn't realise they'd hurt me. But the fact that this is still like happening is not right, and you shouldn't put up with it at all. I am glad to see more responses for no. However, like, I am sad for the 35% who said that they have been shamed about a plus size partner, because I have, and I can tell you that it hurts. It is really upsetting, and yeah, you know, like when you're told, you serious? Oh, come on, Carolyn, you could do better than that. Doesn't make you feel rosy. But again, do not let anybody talk down to you or the person you love at all. Do not put up with it. Call people out. tell them how it's made you feel, and yeah, just do not put up with that rubbish. I'm really sorry. I should have reworded that one as the fear of being judged by friends and family. Instead, it's written there as actually judged by friends and family. And so the results say that you guys' shame comes from being judged by friends and family rather than the fear of what you feel society expects from us. And it set me off on a bit of a misery cycle, to be honest, because, I hate to think that, that's actually happened to you. And I'm going to try and approach this in as positive a way as I can. Amongst the FA and feeder community, there is a great deal of insecurity in where it comes from our fear of what we think our friends and family will think of us. In regards to family, they don't always know how to show their love. They might say all the wrong things. However, you can choose your friends. And if anybody has made you feel rubbish about yourself in any kind of way, no matter how many times you try to tell them that they've hurt you, maybe you need a new set of friends. Most feeders and fat admirers discover the FA community in their late teens, early 20s. However, I've also heard of people discovering it quite a bit later in life. I mean, if you imagine that you grow up in a society that tells you that everything about fat is negative, it's unhealthy, and it's least of all sexy and attractive, then you're going to grow up believing that, aren't you? I mean, I grew up through the 90s and there was nothing and nobody telling me that it was okay to find fat men attractive. The way I discovered FA is through curiosity, I typed in cute fat boys into Google search and Dimensions forums came up, and that's how I discovered FA. Yes, it's like that curiosity finally, the urge is just too strong to ignore. And, well, the thing is, no matter what age you are, discovering fat admiration is extremely liberating for somebody who's always been in the closet before, or has always felt like they're wrong for what they're attracted to. But then you discover this whole universe that you never knew existed, and it's wonderful. Wow, I managed to get through all that. Yeah. Well, thank you everybody who viewed and took part in the poll that I conducted the other day. Thank you very much for your feedback and your responses. And most of all, thank you so much for enabling and allowing me to feel safe enough and comfortable enough to be able to express this side of myself that I've wanted to talk about for many, many years. And it's amazing that I've gotten to ask you all these questions that I've always wanted to ask other FAs within the community. And this feels incredibly natural, which I never thought I'd ever get to. And yeah, I've got you guys to thank for that. Thank you so much. So watch this space, see where this goes next. Take care, stay well, keep safe. Ta-ta.